Welcome to episode 19 of Design Curious Podcast. And Happy New Year! It is finally the year 2023, and here's to new beginnings. Cheers to the new year. Today, appropriately, we are talking about goals, goal setting, and how to appropriately make those goals become a reality. I know it's kind of cliche to do it around the new year. I don't really do any New Year's resolutions anymore unless you just call goal setting resolutions. But I definitely like to do goal setting. It's something that I do quarterly, as I discussed in the episode. And so it's only natural that it does happen for me in January. But it is a good time to look at the whole year as a plan and then break it down into quarters. Sometimes I think people might shy away from making goals because they don't want to fail. I don't know if the perfectionists out there are frustrated by their goals because they have maybe been ambitious sometimes and then they don't follow through, or they aren't able to achieve it and then get frustrated by the end of the year. So we'll talk about that today, how to actually achieve the goals that you set out and how to not limit yourself when you're dreaming about where you want to be 5 and 10 years out. So let's get into today's episode. You're now listening to Design Curious, a place where you, creative one, are here to learn about what it really is like to be an interior designer. And I'm your host and mentor, Rebecca Ward. If you're worried about how to succeed in a creative career, if you're ready to learn your next steps to become an interior designer, and if you want the satisfaction of doing something you love every day, you are in the right place. Grab a coffee, a notebook, and let's dig into today's episode. So I was thinking the other day how it is actually possible to kind of accidentally fall into interior design. People that have natural talent are often told, oh, you should do this for a living. You're great at design. And so it's something that might kind of develop slowly over time. And you're like, oh, maybe I should do this. But I also was thinking about how you can't accidentally fall into a profitable and successful business. So while you might accidentally fall into design, you can't fall into a profitable design business. It takes intention, it takes goals. And so that's what we're talking about today was goal setting. And something that I definitely look at the beginning of each year. I'll be working on this year starting to use a full focus planner, which one of my coaches has introduced to me. And it's, I think, going to be really effective for me because it's going to help me link my personal and professional goals and have them all in one place to keep it top of mind for me. I haven't had a physical planner in many, many years. I use a lot of digital aids, and this I think will be really good for me to have it top of mind, have my goals, have my core values there right in front of me that I can look at every day. And so I'm excited to see how that's going to make a difference for me. So I thought I'd try it out for a year. And this planner is something that it lasts for a quarter, and then I do it the next quarter. So I have to transfer my goals and everything. So I'll be reevaluating them all the time. Simultaneously, I have another coach who is helping me with quarterly business goals. So I have to go through this 90-day planning session and breaking down my goals every quarter. So these things will work in tandem very well. But I'm also excited about the prospect that I can focus a little more on personal goals as well, because I think I've put a lot of emphasis towards business goals in the last couple of years, which is fine and has been great. But personal goals have kind of fallen by the wayside because it gets a little bit blurred when you own your own business. And so I think that's okay that those can be in the same place, but I also want to have some separate personal goals that I can develop over the year. And I also think it's going to be great to be able to make sure that they all align with my core values and my priorities, which I will have written down and in front of me and able to access all the time. So I was looking back at what I've accomplished this last year in 2022. And so I looked into my reels and I saw that I had 6 goals set out for 2022 that I did accomplish. And so the first one was to launch my course, which I did back in April of last year. It's called Shifting Spaces, Change Your Room, Change Your Life, which I think is a great course for getting the most out of your home. If there's spaces that aren't being used properly, or if your home just isn't meeting your needs, that's what this course is for. I had next to launch my podcast, so I did that obviously in September, and here we are today. I had to elevate the Rebecca Ward design client experience, which I did spend a lot of time working on that last year and working with coaches. I hired a client services manager who is on Portia's team that you heard from episode 16. So that was really helpful in elevating my client experience. But I also modified a lot of our processes and procedures for onboarding, checking in with clients, following up with them, and things like that. My other goal was to nurture and grow my team. So I had a team changeover. We hired a new person, and then I really spent some time developing our team relationship. We spent some time with a coach to go over our individual DISC assessments and then learning how to communicate properly with each other, advocating for our needs, and just spent a lot of time working on our company culture. And then my other goal was to connect with amazing and inspiring people. I definitely did that last year. And then I had Rock 2022, which I think I did. So I did set out and to accomplish all the goals that I had written down, which I thought was great, but that definitely doesn't happen by accident. So I want to talk a little bit about when you go to set goals, kind of how to do that, whether it's personal or for your business if you have one. So you start by looking maybe 5 to 10 years out and kind of see where it is you want to be. What are you doing for work? What is your lifestyle? What are the vacations that you're having? What's the car that you're driving? And this is kind of like your dream area, what you're wanting your life to be. How are you going to manifest that? And then you kind of pull back and look at 3 years out and say like, oh, I'm on track for meeting those 5 to 10 year goals because at 3 years I'm doing this. It's just far enough out to have that dream aspect. Like there's still an attainable goal out there that I can dream for, but close enough to be realistic. So then you're going to pull back again and look at the 1 year goal and say like, okay, well, what do I want to accomplish within the next 365 days that I have, and break that out into quarters. And so this is what I do with one of my business coaches. And then we set up a 12-week grid and say like, okay, weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what am I doing that week to achieve these 3 goals that I've set out for that quarter? It's like, so say I have, 6 things for the year. I might try to accomplish 2 or 3 of those per quarter. And then what are the actionable steps that I need to take during that quarter to achieve that goal? And I found that was really strategic, really helpful in actually being able to check off those goals by the end of the year. And then it breaks it down for you so it's not such a giant goal looming out there, that it's a step-by-step process more, that you're just kind of turning it into a task. And if you've never heard this before, creating SMART goals, I'll kind of break it down for you here. That's something that, I only heard about in the last couple of years as I've gotten coaching. It's something that coaches like to refer to when you're setting goals. Coaches are always asking you about your goals. So a SMART goal, well, I've heard SMART and S.M.A.R.T.E.R. So I'll go over both. So SMART goal is an acronym. It is spelling out specific, measurable, actionable, risky, and time-bound goals. And then to be a smarter, it also adds exciting and relevant. So every goal that you make needs to have these aspects to it, making sure that it's measurable, especially, and specific, actionable. As I was making SMART goals this last year, I found that there was areas that I kind of would gloss over in the past, like especially measurable goals. Like I will know that I've achieved this goal by such and such measurement. So that's what a SMART goal is. So as you are looking at setting goals for 2023 this year, I encourage you to kind of use that format to outline and achieve the dreams that you have in your life. If you are considering interior design as a career, you're at a transition point, and it's really important to be clear and concise about your dreams and goals. And so it's a great exercise to do. Take some time to write it down, and write it down physically, pen to paper, because that really brings it home in your brain to make that become a reality and to be able to manifest what it is that you're dreaming. And do allow yourself to dream big. Be creative. I mean, you are a creative person, so allow yourself to be creative with your goals. This method will just give you some structure around that because, as you know, sometimes creative types have a harder time being structured. So if you're looking for some accountability on those goals, feel free to send them to me, and I will circle back with you periodically this year to see how you are getting on with those goals. Feel free to reach out to me, podcast@rwarddesign.com. You can find all the show notes on my website, rwarddesign.com/podcast. And you can find me on Instagram. I hang out there a lot, so you can send me messages about your goals. But yeah, feel free to share it. I feel like a goal is more likely to happen if you're sharing it with other people who can hold you accountable. Often people need that accountability to kind of give them the kick in the pants if they're slacking or falling behind on what their goals are. So I hope you're inspired to start 2023 out right. And we will see you next episode for a great interview and discover if interior design is the career for you. So until then, stay creative. Thanks for listening. If you loved this episode, please leave a rating and a review. This helps me reach other curious creatives like you. If you have a topic request or would like to contact me, simply head over to my website, rwarddesign.com, or email me at podcast@rwarddesign.com.